The red emergency lights flashed as Sergeant Kate Bailey led her team through the smoke-filled corridor of Proxima Station. The space outpost, once a shining example of cooperation between humans and alien species, now lay in ruins after the surprise Frill attack. Kate gripped her plasma rifle tightly, her dark hair plastered to her forehead with sweat. The station groaned around them as if in pain. "Life signs ahead," whispered Mia Rodriguez, her combat scanner glowing with faint blue light. Was the youngest of the squad, barely 22, but already showing the steady nerves of a veteran. Kate nodded and signaled for Daphne Chen to cover their left flank. Only 3 of them remained from the original squad of 8. The Vril had been ruthless in their assault, targeting both military and civilian sections without distinction. Their mission had shifted from defense to rescue as the station became increasingly unstable. "How much time?" Kate asked, keeping her voice low. Daphne checked the structural integrity readings on her wrist device. 20 minutes, maybe less, before this section decompresses. The whole station could go within the hour. They moved forward carefully, stepping over debris and fallen equipment. The research wing had taken heavy damage, with laboratory contents spilled across the floor, creating a hazardous maze. Kate felt a pang of sadness. These labs had contained valuable research projects meant to benefit both human and alien civilizations. Now it was all destroyed. A soft whimpering sound caught Kate's attention. She raised her hand, signaling for her team to stop and listen. The sound came again from behind a toppled storage unit. Kate approached slowly, weapon ready, but instinct told her this wasn't a threat. She peered around the edge and found herself looking into large purple eyes. A small alien child huddled in the corner, trembling with fear. The little girl had pale blue skin with delicate ridges along her temples and forehead, distinctive features of the Elonian species Kate recognized. She wore the torn remains of a science division uniform sized for juveniles. Kate lowered her weapon and knelt down. "Hey there," she said softly. "We're not going to hurt you. We're here to help." The child stared at her, uncomprehending. The Elonians were relatively new allies to Earth, and the language barrier remained challenging, especially with children. Kate tried again, using the simplified trade language that had become standard for interspecies communication. "Safe now, no hurt you, we help." The little girl blinked her large eyes. The purple irises seemed to shimmer with an inner light, a beautiful trait of her species. She pointed to a name badge on her uniform. The letters spelled out, "Lyra, Lyra." Kate repeated with a smile. "Nice name, me, Kate." She tapped her own chest, then extended her hand palm up in the universal gesture of peace. Lyra hesitated, then reached out with her small blue hand. As their fingers touched, Kate felt an unexpected jolt, something like static electricity but stronger. Images flashed through her mind, stars exploding, distant planets, landscapes she had never seen. She pulled back, startled. "Sergeant Bailey, command. Wants us at extraction point 5 minutes. Mia called from the corridor, breaking Kate's strange trance. "Copy that." Kate replied, then turned back to Lyra. "Come with me. We go to safe place." The child seemed to understand and stood up. She was small, even for an Elonian juvenile, reaching only to Kate's waist. Kate noticed she moved with difficulty. The station's Earth-normal gravity likely too heavy for her physiology. Without hesitation, Kate lifted the child into her arms. Lyra weighed surprisingly little, despite the gravity differences. Kate carried her toward the extraction point. She noticed something hanging around the child's neck. A strange metallic pendant, half of a disc with swirling patterns etched into its surface. The design triggered something in Kate's memory, a sense of familiarity that made no sense. They joined Mia and Daphne in the corridor. "Who's your new friend?" Daphne asked with a gentle smile, despite the urgency of their situation. "This is Lyra," Kate replied. "She's coming with us." They moved quickly toward the evacuation zone, dodging falling debris as the station's structural integrity continued to fail. Kate felt Lyra trembling against her chest. The poor child had likely witnessed terrible things during the attack. Elonians were a peaceful species, focused on scientific advancement. Their homeworld had no military, only a defensive force. The Vril attack would have been especially traumatic for them as they ran. Kate found herself oddly protective of Lyra, beyond the normal duty to rescue civilians. Something about the child felt important, personally important. Though she'd never met an Elonian child before, this one seemed familiar in a way. Kate couldn't explain. They reached a junction where the corridor split 3 ways. The station map on Kate's wrist device showed damage ahead on their planned route. East corridor is blocked, she informed her team. We need to go through the science officer's quarters. It'll take longer, but it's our only option. We're cutting it close, Sarge, Mia warned, checking her scanner. Structural collapse accelerating. Well, make it, Kate assured them, adjusting Lyra in her arms. Stay close. They entered the residential section where science officers had lived before the attack. The quarters were mostly intact, though. Abandoned in haste, personal belongings lay scattered, evidence of lives interrupted. Kate moved quickly past the rooms until Lyra suddenly squirmed in her arms, pointing urgently at one of the doors. What's wrong? Kate asked. Stopping, Lyra pointed again, more insistently at a door marked with Elonian script and the human translation. Chief Xenobiologist Kate hesitated, then approached the door. It slid open automatically. The power still functioning in this section. Sergeant, we don't have time for detours, Daphne reminded her. Just a moment, Kate replied, setting Lyra down. The child immediately ran inside, heading straight for a small desk near the viewport. Kate followed, watching as Lyra opened a drawer and removed a small box. She presented it to Kate with what appeared to be urgency in her purple eyes. Take, she said in heavily accented English. One of the few human words she seemed to know. Kate opened the box. Inside lay another half-disc identical to the one around Lyra's neck, except for the pattern, which seemed to be a continuation of the design. Confusion washed over her as she lifted it for closer examination. Suddenly, the room tilted as an explosion rocked the station. Sergeant, we need to move now, Mia shouted from the doorway, her voice tight with fear. Kate quickly pocketed the disc, lifted Lyra, and ran toward her teammates. The station was coming apart around them. Alarms blared, warning of imminent decompression. They sprinted down the corridor toward the evacuation zone, where the last human transport prepared for departure. They rounded the final corner to see Daphne holding the transport door open, covering their approach. Last ones, she yelled into her comm. Command says move now. Kate lunged forward, passing Lyra to Daphne, then turning to help Mia, who had fallen behind. Just as Mia reached her, a support beam crashed down from the ceiling. Kate shoved her teammate forward, both of them barely making it through the door as it sealed behind them. The transport immediately disengaged from the dying station. Inside the crowded evacuation ship, Kate collapsed against a wall, still holding Lyra's hand. The medical officer approached. You're injured, Sergeant. Let me take the child. Kate looked down, noticing for the first time the gash on her arm. Blood seeped through her torn uniform, but she shook her head. She stays with me, she said firmly, though she couldn't explain the protectiveness she felt. As the medical officer treated her wound, Kate finally examined the metal disc she'd taken from the Elonian quarters. She held it next to Lyra's pendant. The two pieces fit together perfectly, forming a complete circle with an intricate pattern that seemed to tell a story. In symbolic form, Lyra watched her with those strangely familiar purple eyes. Mother, she said clearly in English, pointing at the combined discs. Kate felt a chill run through her despite the warmth of the crowded transport. Your mother? She asked. The scientist. Who was she? Lyra touched the disc again, then placed her small hand on Kate's chest. Mother, she repeated with certainty. The transport lurched as it accelerated away from the station, which was now visibly breaking apart behind them. Kate's mind raced, trying to make sense of what Lyra seemed to be telling her. The pendant. The familiarity she felt. A memory stirred from 5 years ago. Her deep space mission to the Elonian homeworld. The cultural exchange program. And Neva, the beautiful Elonian xenobiologist with whom Kate had shared so much more than just cultural information. Kate reached into her pocket and pulled out her good luck charm, a broken metal disc Neva had sent her after she returned to Earth with no explanation. Just a short note saying, "Keep this, with you always." Kate had assumed it was merely a memento of their brief but intense relationship, but now looking at how perfectly it matched the pieces, Lyra carried a different possibility, emerged one that seemed impossible, yet explained the immediate connection she had felt with the child. Her hand shaking, Kate held her own piece next to the combined disc from Lyra. The three fragments fit together, forming a complex Elonian symbol Kate recognized from her cultural training. The symbol for family bond. The military transport ship hummed softly as it carried the survivors away from the destroyed Proxima station. Kate sat in a quiet corner of the medical bay, still trying to process what she'd discovered. Lyra lay sleeping on the narrow bed beside her, the child's blue skin almost luminescent under the ship's lights. Kate turned the combined metal discs over in her hands. The Elonian family bond symbol was unmistakable. She had learned about it during her cultural exchange 5 years ago. Such symbols were sacred to Elonians, representing genetic lineage and familial connections. But what did it mean that she held a piece of it, and that Lyra carried the other parts? Medical officer Samantha Wells approached with a tablet in hand. "Her readings are stabilizing," she said quietly. "She's adapting to our gravity and atmosphere better than expected." Kate nodded, grateful. "Any information on her parents or guardians?" "That's what I wanted to talk to you about." Samantha pulled up a chair. "I ran her genetic profile through the database. Most Elonian scientists at the station had records on file." She hesitated. "There's something unusual in her results." Kate felt her heartbeat quicken. "What is it?" "Elonian genetics are complex. Their species can combine genetic material in ways humans are only beginning to understand." Samantha showed Kate the screen displaying 2 DNA profiles side by side. "This shows Lyra's genetic makeup, half matches Neva Kari, chief xenobiologist at Proxima Station." Kate wasn't surprised hearing Neva's name confirmed what she had begun to suspect. "And the other half?" Samantha looked at her with a mixture of confusion and wonder. "The other half shows human markers, Sergeant, specifically yours." The words hung in the air between them. Kate stared at the screen, showing the unmistakable evidence despite its impossibility. "How Elonians have remarkable biotechnology. Their reproduction doesn't require traditional methods," Samantha explained. "They can create genetic offspring from cellular material, even from compatible alien species. It's rare but not unprecedented." She paused. "Did you and Neva have a close relationship during your mission to Elonia?" Kate nodded slowly, memories flooding back. The 6-month diplomatic mission, the cultural exchange program. The nights spent with Neva discussing philosophy, science, and eventually sharing much more. They had been close. Very close before Kate had been suddenly recalled to Earth, ending their relationship with painful abruptness. "She never told me," Kate whispered, looking at the sleeping child. "She never said anything about a child?" Samantha touched her shoulder gently. "According to the database, Lyra is 4 years old, born about a year after your mission ended." Kate did the math in her head. It aligned perfectly. She remembered giving Neva a tissue sample. Part of the cultural exchange meant to help Elonians understand human physiology. Never had she imagined Neva would use it to create a child. Their child. "What about Neva?" Kate asked suddenly, realizing she hadn't seen the Elonian scientist among the evacuees. "Is she?" Samantha's expression softened with sympathy. "I'm sorry, the casualty list from the first Vril attack 3 days. Ego Nivakari was in the primary research lab when it was hit. She didn't survive." The news hit Kate like a physical blow. She hadn't seen Neva in years, yet knowing she was gone forever created an emptiness Kate hadn't expected. She looked at Lyra, sleeping peacefully, unaware that one of her mothers was dead, while the other had just discovered her existence. "What's going to happen to her now?" Kate asked, her voice barely audible. "Technically, she's an Elonian citizen. There are protocols for orphaned, alien children, Usually they'd be sent back to their homeworld. Samantha hesitated, but given the unusual circumstances and the genetic connection we may need to involve both human and Elonian authorities, she stood up. Get some rest. Sergeant Well, reach Earth in 12 hours. This will be a complicated situation. After Samantha left, Kate continued to watch Lyra sleep. The child looked so peaceful, despite everything she'd been through. Kate wondered what Lyra knew about her. What had Neva told her about her human mother? Had she planned to ever tell Kate about their daughter? As if sensing Kate's thoughts, Lyra stirred. Her large purple eyes, so like Neva's, opened and focused on Kate. You awake, Kate said softly. How do you feel? Lyra sat up. Slowly better, she replied in surprisingly clear English. Not so heavy now. Kate was startled by how well the child spoke. You know English? Lyra nodded. Mother taught me, said I would need it someday. She touched the combined discs that Kate still held. Mother said when the three pieces come together I would meet my other mother. She looked directly at Kate. You, Kate felt tears threatening. Neva never told me about you. Elonian custom. Lyra explained with a maturity beyond her apparent. Each child must meet both parents when ready, not before. She touched Kate's hand. I am ready now. The simplicity of her acceptance broke something in Kate. She pulled Lyra into a gentle hug, feeling the child's slight frame against her. The enormity of the situation washed over her. She was a Marine, a soldier not prepared for parenthood, least of all to a half-alien child. Yet, looking at Lyra, she felt a connection that transcended species and circumstance. Your mother, Neva, Kate began, unsure. How to tell a child about death has joined the cosmic flow. Lyra said with quiet dignity. I felt it 3 days ago. She touched her chest. Here we are connected. All Elonians feel when family returns to stars. Kate marveled at the child's composure. Elonian culture viewed death differently than humans did, seeing it as a transformation rather than an ending. Still, Lyra had lost her mother and her home in one brutal attack. I'm sorry, Kate said. I wish I had known her better. Known you both, Lyra tilted her head in a gesture reminiscent of Neva. Mother said you would say that she said humans regret the past while Elonians embrace the present. She touched the discs again. She also said you were brave and kind, that you would protect me. Kate felt a responsibility settle on her shoulders, heavier than any mission she'd ever carried. I will, she promised, but I don't know how this is all new to me. For me too. Lyra admitted, a hint of vulnerability finally showing through her composed. Exterior Commander Grace Harris appeared at the doorway of the medical bay. Sergeant Bailey, a word. Kate nodded to Lyra. He'll be right back, then followed her commander into the corridor. I see you've bonded with the Elonian child. Grace said, her expression unreadable. It's more complicated than that, Commander. Kate explained the situation, showing Grace the combined discs and relating what Samantha had discovered about Lyra's genetics. Grace listened without interruption, her eyebrows rising, slightly the only indication of her surprise. This presents unusual challenges, Sergeant. The military isn't equipped for interspecies custody issues. She's my daughter. Kate said the words, feeling strange yet right. I won't abandon her. No one is suggesting that, Grace assured her. But there will be protocols, diplomatic considerations. The Elonian government will need to be consulted. They may have their own claims. Kate hadn't considered that possibility. The thought of Lyra being taken away to Elonia created a sudden panic. She stays with me until this is sorted out. Grace studied her for a moment. You'll arrange temporary custody while we navigate the bureaucracy. But be prepared, Bailey. This won't be simple. Earth has never dealt with a human-alien hybrid child before, especially one with a military parent. Thank you, Commander. Get some rest, Grace advised. You'll need it. Kate returned to find Lyra examining the small viewport, watching the stars streak by as the ship traveled at FTL speed. The sight reminded Kate of Neva, who had loved watching the stars, saying they connected all sentient beings across the vastness of space. Pretty, Kate commented. Joining Lyra stars. Look different from Earth. Lyra said. Mother showed me images, but I never thought I would see them myself. You've never been to Earth before. Lyra shook her head. Born on Alonia, lived on Proxima Station 2 years. She looked at Kate with those penetrating purple eyes. Is Earth nice? Kate considered how to answer. The child's entire life had just been uprooted. Her concept of nice might be very different from a human's. Parts of it are beautiful, like Alonia has mountains and oceans, but the gravity is stronger than you're used to, and there are many, many humans. Not so many Alonians. Will they accept me? Lyra asked the question, carrying more weight than her simple words suggested. Kate wanted to offer reassurance, but wouldn't lie. Some will, some won't, but you'll have me. She touched the combined Dokes and the memory of your mother Neva. That's what matters. Lyra seemed satisfied with this answer. Mother said humans are complex, often kind, sometimes cruel, but always interesting. She yawned suddenly, her small body finally showing signs of exhaustion. You should sleep more, Kate suggested. It's a long journey. Lyra nodded but didn't lie down. Instead, she climbed into Kate's lap, curling against her chest in a gesture of complete trust. Kate felt a surge of protectiveness. Her arms encircled the child automatically as Lyra drifted to sleep. Kate gazed out at the passing stars, wondering what Neva would think of this moment. Would she approve of Kate as a parent? Had this been her plan all along? Kate had so many questions that would never be answered. The weight of Lyra in her arms felt both strange and right. A daughter she hadn't known existed until today. A responsibility she hadn't sought. Yet looking down at the sleeping child, Kate knew with absolute certainty that she would do everything in her power to protect her no matter what challenges Earth and its bureaucracy might present. Earth loomed large in the transport ship's viewport, its blue and white surface a stark contrast to the red deserts of Alonia. Kate stood with Lyra as they approached the planet that would be the child's new home. Lyra pressed her small blue hand against the glass, her purple eyes wide with wonder. So much water, she whispered. About 70% of the surface. Kate explained, remembering that Alonia was a much drier world. Well, visit the ocean someday if you'd like. Lyra nodded eagerly. Then her expression grew serious. Will we stay together on Earth? Kate hesitated. The past 12 hours had been a crash course in interspecies custody regulations. The situation was unprecedented. A human military officer with an Elonian hybrid child. The bureaucracy wasn't designed for this. I'm doing everything I can to make that happen, Kate said carefully. There are meetings we need to attend, people who will help us figure things out. Mia approached, looking uncomfortable in her formal uniform. Sergeant, we've received landing instructions. The interspecies affairs officials will meet us at the military dock. Kate nodded. Thank you, Rodriguez. She knelt down to Lyra's level. Listen carefully. When we land, there will be many humans. Some will ask you questions. They might seem scary, but they just want to understand our situation. Remember what we practiced. Lyra straightened her small shoulders. My name is Lyra Carey Bailey. I am 4 Earth years old. My Elonian mother was Neva. Carey, chief xenobiologist. My human mother is Sergeant Kate Bailey of Earth Marine Corps. I was born on Alonia and lived on Proxima Station. She recited the information perfectly. Kate smiled despite her anxiety. Very good. And if you feel scared or confused, I tell them I need to speak with my mother. Lyra finished. The transport shuddered as it entered Earth's atmosphere. Kate lifted Lyra into her arms, partly for comfort, partly because Earth's stronger gravity would be challenging for the child. The medical officer had provided a small gravity compensator that attached to Lyra's belt, but it would take time for her body to fully adjust. Commander Harris appeared in her formal dress uniform. We're landing in 5 minutes, Bailey. The brass is taking a special interest in your situation. Admiral West himself will be present. Kate felt a knot form in her stomach. Admiral West was known for his conservative views on alien relations. His presence suggested this was being treated as more than a routine custody matter. Understood, Commander. Harris lowered her voice. For what it's worth, Bailey, I support you. The kid deserves stability after what she's been through, and DNA doesn't lie. She's yours. Kate appreciated the support, knowing she would need allies in the coming battle. Thank you, Commander. The landing was smooth, the transport settling onto the private military dock with barely a bump. Kate set Lyra down, but kept hold of her hand. The child's legs trembled slightly under Earth's gravity despite the compensator. You okay? Kate asked. Concerned Lyra nodded bravely. Heavy, but I can manage. The transport doors opened, revealing a reception committee larger than Kate had anticipated, military officials in formal uniform, civilian authorities with tablets and stern expressions, 2 Elonian representatives in their traditional flowing robes, looking distinctly uncomfortable among the humans, and at the center, Admiral West, his weathered face unreadable. Kate straightened to attention, saluting crisply. Sergeant Catherine Bailey reporting, sir. Admiral West returned the salute. At ease, Sergeant. Quite the situation you've brought us. His eyes moved to Lyra, who stood tall, despite the obvious strain of Earth's gravity. The child's purple eyes met the Admiral's without fear. Kate felt a surge of pride at Lyra's composure. A civilian woman stepped forward. Director Eleanor Patel, Interspecies Affairs Division. She smiled warmly at Lyra, then addressed Kate. We've prepared a conference. Room for the initial hearing, Sergeant. If you'll follow me. Kate hesitated. My daughter needs time to adjust to Earth's gravity. The medical officer recommended gradual exposure. Director Patel nodded. Of course, the conference room is equipped with a gravity adjustment field for our Elonian colleagues. It will be more comfortable for her there. They followed Patel through a series of security checkpoints, Lyra gripping Kate's hand tightly. The Elonian representatives walked behind them, conversing. Quietly in their musical language, Kate caught occasional words she recognized from her time on their world. None sounded reassuring. The conference room was large with a view of the San Francisco Bay. The promised gravity field made movement immediately, easier for Lyra, whose steps became more confident. Kate noted the room was arranged like a hearing with a long table, where officials sat facing a single chair. Obviously meant for her, Sergeant Bailey. If you would be seated, Director Patel indicated the chair. Miss Lyra, we have a comfortable space for you with some learning materials while we speak with your human mother. Lyra looked at Kate, alarmed. Stay together, she said firmly. Beyond her years, Kate addressed the officials. With respect, my daughter has just lost her Elonian mother, her home, and everything familiar. I request she remain with me during these proceedings. The officials exchanged glances. Admiral West frowned, but Director Patel nodded. A reasonable accommodation, given the circumstances. Kate sat in the designated chair, lifting Lyra onto her lap. The officials arranged themselves opposite. The Elonian representatives remained standing, which was their custom during formal proceedings. Director Patel began, This is an unprecedented situation, Sergeant Bailey. We have no protocol for a human military officer claiming parental rights to an Elonian hybrid child. Am not claiming anything, Director, Kate replied, keeping her voice steady. Genetic testing has confirmed Lyra is my biological daughter. The familial connection has been verified through both DNA and the traditional Elonian bonding symbol. She placed the 3 combined discs on the table. My relationship with Neva Kari during my diplomatic mission to Elonia resulted in Lyra's creation, though I was unaware until now. One of the Elonian representatives, a tall female with elaborate temple ridges, stepped forward. I am Elder Taris of the Elonian Science Council. She spoke perfect English. Neva Kari was a respected xenobiologist. Her work on interspecies genetics was groundbreaking. She looked at Lyra with an unreadable expression. The child is unique. The first documented human Elonian hybrid to survive past gestation. Kate's blood ran, cold at the implication there had been others that didn't survive. She pulled Lyra closer. Admiral West spoke for the first time. The military implications cannot be ignored. A Marine with divided loyalties, a child with access to both human and Elonian genetic knowledge. The security risks are substantial. Kate felt anger rising but kept her expression neutral. With respect, Admiral, my loyalty to Earth has never been questioned. My service record speaks for itself. As for Lyra, she is a child, not a security risk. The second Elonian representative, younger than Elder Terrace, stepped forward. I am Liaison Valar. The Elonian High Council acknowledges the genetic bond between Sergeant Bailey and the child Lyra. He stated formally, however, Elonian, custom dictates that orphan children be raised within the collective family structure. Our concern is for the child's spiritual and psychological development. Meaning what exactly? Kate asked, tightening her hold on Lyra. Meaning, Elder Terrace explained, that while we recognize your biological connection, we believe the child should return to Elonia to be raised among our kind. She requires specialized education to develop her Elonian abilities. Her hybrid nature presents unique challenges that humans are not equipped to handle. Director Patel raised a hand. The Earth Interspecies Affairs Division cannot simply surrender a child with human parentage. Without due process, Sergeant Bailey has rights as a biological parent, and Elonia has cultural rights. Elder Terrace countered. The child was born on our world, registered in our genetic repository. She carries Elonian abilities that must be properly nurtured. Kate looked down at Lyra, who was following the conversation with intelligent eyes. Has anyone asked what Lyra wants? Kate suggested. The room fell silent. Admiral West scoffed. The child is 4 years old, Sergeant, hardly in a position to make life-altering decisions. Elonian children develop cognitive abilities differently than humans, Admiral. Kate replied, keeping her voice respectful despite her frustration. And Lyra is uniquely both. Ask her. Director Patel considered, then nodded. Lyra, would you like to tell us your thoughts? All eyes turned to the small blue-skinned child. Lyra slid from Kate's lap and stood facing the officials. Her posture was perfect despite Earth's gravity. Her purple eyes moved from face to face, assessing them. I lost my mother, Neva. She began, her voice clear. She prepared me for this day. She taught me human language, human customs, Elonian history, and science. She knew someday I would meet my human mother. Lyra touched the combined discs on the table. The three pieces coming together means family bond complete. That is Elonian law. Older than any council ruling, Elder Terrace looked surprised at the child's knowledge. I wish to stay with my mother, Kate. Lyra continued, but I also wish to learn Elonian ways. Neva would want both. She looked at the Elonian representatives. The first bridge child, she called me. A living connection between worlds, not one or other, both. The room was silent, absorbing the wisdom from such a young child. Kate felt pride swell in her chest. Lyra had Neva's intelligence. Clearly, Director Patel was the first to speak. Perhaps a compromise. Elder Terrace Liaison Valar would regular visits to Elonia for educational purposes satisfy your concerns while allowing Lyra to remain with her human. 6 months passed in a blur of adjustment and discovery. Kate found herself navigating the unfamiliar terrain of parenthood while Lyra adapted to life on Earth. They had moved from military quarters to a small house near the coast. The location was perfect, close enough to the base where Kate now worked as a combat instructor, but far enough to provide the privacy they both needed. The morning light filtered through the kitchen window as Kate prepared breakfast. Lyra sat at the table practicing, writing in both English and Elonian script. Her small blue fingers moved carefully across the tablet, switching effortlessly between the two languages. Almost done, Kate asked, setting a plate of fruit in front of Lyra. The child's diet required special supplements, but she had developed a fondness for earth fruits, particularly strawberries. One more sentence, Lyra replied, her tongue poking out in concentration. Her English had improved dramatically, though she still spoke with a musical Elonian accent that Kate found endearing. Kate checked the time. Your tutor will be here soon. As part of their arrangement with the Elonian Council, Lyra received regular instruction in Elonian culture and abilities. Marina, an Elonian education specialist, visited 3 times a week. "Will we continue telekinesis training today?" Lyra asked eagerly. Kate tried not to show her discomfort. One of the more surprising discoveries of the past months had been Lyra's developing Elonian abilities Elonians possessed, mild telepathic and telekinetic capabilities, abilities that manifested strongly in Lyra despite her hybrid nature. These sessions both fascinated and worried Kate. "If Marina thinks you're ready," Kate replied carefully. A gentle chime indicated someone. At the door, Kate opened it expecting Marina but found Elder Terrace instead. The Elonian dignitary rarely visited Earth, making her presence immediately concerning. "Elder Terrace, welcome." Kate managed keeping her tone neutral. "We weren't expecting you." The tall Elonian inclined her head respectfully. "Sergeant Bailey, I apologize for arriving unannounced. May I enter?" Kate stepped aside. "Of course, please come in." Lyra looked up from her studies, her purple eyes widening at the sight of Elder Terrace. She immediately stood and performed the traditional Elonian greeting, a complex gesture with her hands that Kate had been trying to master for weeks. "Well done, young one," Elder Terrace said approvingly. "Your form is excellent." "Thank you, Elder," Lyra replied. "Would you like tea? We have the Elonian blend Mother Kate found for me." Kate's heart warmed at Lyra's use of Mother Kate, a compromise they had reached to honor both her parents. "Tea would be welcome." Elder Terrace seated herself at the kitchen table, her tall frame looking somewhat out of place in the human-sized chair. As Kate prepared the tea, she noticed Elder Terrace observing their home. Her eyes lingered on the adjustments Kate had made for Lyra. The lower shelves for Lyra's reach. The modified chair that accommodated her different physiology. The star map of both Earth and Elonian constellations on the wall. The photos of Neva that Kate had obtained from Proxima Station records. "You have created a home that honors both worlds." Elder Terrace commented. "Neva would be pleased." Kate brought the tea, setting it carefully before the elder. "I try my knowledge of Elonian customs is still limited, but Lyra and Marina are patient teachers." Elder Terrace sipped her tea, then set the cup down, her expression growing serious. "I have come with news, Sergeant Bailey, news that concerns Lyra's future." Kate felt her body tense. She sat down next to Lyra, instinctively placing a protective hand on the child's shoulder. "What news?" "The Elonian Science Council has been monitoring Lyra's development through Marina's reports." Elder Terrace began. "Her abilities are progressing faster than anticipated. For a hybrid child, her telekinetic aptitude is remarkable, nearly equivalent to our most gifted pure Elonian children." Kate nodded. This wasn't news to her. She had witnessed Lyra moving objects across rooms, concentrating with those intense purple eyes. Marina mentioned her progress was exceptional. What Marina may not have explained is the significance. Elder Terrace continued. "Elonian abilities require proper training. Without it, they can become unstable, particularly during adolescence." She looked directly at Lyra. "The mind must be trained to control the power." "Are you saying Marina's instruction is insufficient?" Kate asked, trying to keep defensiveness from her voice. "For now it is adequate," Elder Terrace replied. "But the Council believes Lyra requires more intensive training, a specialized program available only on Elonia." Kate felt her heart sink. "You're suggesting Lyra should return to Elonia?" "For 1 Earth year," Elder Terrace clarified, "at our Academy of Mental Sciences, the best instructors, the most advanced techniques. It would ensure her abilities develop safely." Lyra looked between the 2 adults, her face showing understanding beyond her years. "Would Mother Kate come too?" Elder Terrace hesitated. "The Academy is not equipped for humans. The gravity, the atmosphere. Some areas utilize telepathic fields that can be harmful to untrained human minds." Kate felt Lyra stiffen beside her. "So you're asking me to send my 5-year-old daughter alone to another planet for a year? We understand this is difficult," Elder Terrace said, her voice softening. "But consider the alternatives. Untrained abilities can be dangerous both to Lyra and those around her. Earth has no facilities capable of proper instruction." And if we refuse? Kate asked, though she suspected she knew the answer. Elder Terrace straightened. The original agreement granted. Joint custody with conditions. This is one such condition. The Council could petition to revoke your custodial rights if Lyra's development is compromised. Kate felt anger flare but controlled it, aware of Lyra watching closely. That sounds like a threat, Elder. It is reality, Sergeant. Elder Terrace replied calmly. We value the bond between you and Lyra, but her safety and development must take precedence over emotional attachments. Lyra suddenly spoke up. I can do both. Both adults turned to her. Explain, young one. Elder Terrace encouraged. Lyra straightened in her chair, looking remarkably like Neva when presenting a scientific theory. The Academy program is 3 Elonian cycles. 4 Earth months I could attend, then return to Earth study, with Marina then return for another session. Kate considered this. 3 sessions over the year instead of 1 continuous stay. It would be unorthodox, Elder Terrace admitted, but perhaps workable. The Council values innovation. After all, Lyra herself is unprecedented. Kate looked at her daughter, feeling a mix of pride and sadness. The past 6 months had been challenging but precious. Every day brought new discoveries, new connections. 4 months apart would be difficult for both of them, but perhaps necessary. When would this begin? Kate asked. The new cycle starts in 3 Earth weeks. Elder Terrace replied. Liaison Villar would accompany Lyra, ensure her safe arrival. We would arrange regular communication. Kate took Lyra's small hand and hers. What do you think, sweetheart? This is your future, your abilities we're talking about. Lyra considered with a seriousness that sometimes made Kate forget she was still a child. I want to learn everything. Mother Neva knew. Everything you know. Everything the Academy can teach me. She squeezed Kate's hand. But I want to come home 4 months, not 1 year. Kate looked at Elder Terrace. We'll need to formalize this proposal. Review the Academy curriculum, create a communication schedule. The Elder nodded. Of course, all details will be provided. The Council seeks cooperation, not conflict, Sergeant Bailey. And you'll need to understand something as well. Elder. Kate added, her voice firm but respectful. Lyra isn't just a scientific marvel or a diplomatic bridge. She's a child, my child. I won't have her treated as an experiment or a political symbol. Elder Terrace studied Kate for a long moment, then inclined her head. Neva chose well, she said quietly. She said you were a warrior with a scientist's heart, fierce in protection, measured in judgment. She rose from her chair. I will convey your conditions to the Council. Expect formal documentation within the week. After Elder Terrace departed, Kate and Lyra sat in silence, watching the ocean through the kitchen window. The implications of this new development settling around them. Are you afraid? Kate finally asked. Lyra considered the question. Curious, excited, a little nervous. She looked up at Kate. Are you afraid? Kate smiled. At her daughter's perceptiveness, terrified the thought of you being so far away, she paused. But also proud you handled that like a diplomat twice your age. Mother Neva said, compromise is not weakness when both sides value the outcome. Lyra. Quoted. Kate recognized Neva's wisdom in the words. She pulled Lyra into a gentle hug, feeling the child's slight frame against her. Despite their biological differences, despite the challenges ahead, despite the looming separation, Kate knew their bond was unbreakable. Well, make it work, Kate promised. And when you're at the Academy, you'll learn everything I can about Elonian telepathy, so when you come home we can practice together. Lyra's face brightened. Really, you'll study too? Of course, Kate replied. For family we learn together. Later that evening, after Lyra had gone to bed, Kate sat on the porch watching the stars. She found the faint red dot that was Elonia visible only on the clearest nights. The distance seemed both immense and insignificant. Her daughter would travel there, learn there, but would return. Earth was home now for both of them. The sound of small footsteps made Kate turn. Lyra stood in the doorway, her nightgown glowing in the moonlight. "Can't sleep?" Kate asked, patting the seat. Beside her, Lyra shook her head and joined Kate on the porch swing. "Too many thoughts. Want to talk about it?" 4 years had passed since Kate first discovered Lyra was her daughter. The frightened child from Proxima Station had grown into a confident 9-year-old who moved between two worlds with remarkable ease. Kate watched with pride as Lyra demonstrated her latest telekinetic achievement, carefully lifting 6 different objects and arranging them in a complex orbital pattern around herself. Each object followed a distinct path, never colliding, maintaining perfect harmony. "Impressive," Kate commented, as Lyra gently returned each item to its place. "Your control has improved tremendously since your last academy session." Lyra beamed at the praise, her blue skin flushing slightly darker with pleasure. "Master Valen says, I'm ready for level 4 techniques. Next cycle." She tucked a strand of her shimmering hair behind her ear, revealing the distinctive Elonian temple ridges that had become more pronounced as she aged. The pattern of 4 months on Elonia followed by 8 months on Earth had worked well for them. Both planets now felt like home to Lyra. Though Earth remained their primary residence, Kate had modified her military career, serving as a cultural liaison between Earth and Elonian defense forces. Her experience raising a hybrid child had made her uniquely qualified to bridge the gap between the two species. "I'm proud of you," Kate said warmly. "Not just for your abilities, but for how you've handled everything. The travel, the different schools, the questions." Lyra shrugged with the casual resilience of youth. "It's normal for me being both." She picked up her tablet, checking the time. "Aunt Mia will be here soon for my combat training." Kate nodded. Mia Rodriguez had remained a close friend, eventually leaving active duty herself to start a security consulting business. She had appointed herself Lyra's honorary aunt and insisted on teaching the girl basic self-defense. Despite Lyra's developing telekinetic abilities, Mia maintained that physical training was essential. "Go change, then," Kate suggested, "and remember what we agreed about sparring." Lyra rolled her eyes good-naturedly. "No telekinesis during physical training. I know, Mother Kate." She darted upstairs, her movements fluid and graceful. Despite Earth's heavier gravity, years of adaptation had strengthened her body, making her more resistant to Earth's conditions than most Elonians. Kate moved to the kitchen, preparing a special protein drink for Lyra. Training days required additional nutrients to support both her physical exertion and telekinetic usage. The specialized diet had become second nature to Kate, who had become something of an expert in xenonutrition out of necessity. The communication panel chimed, indicating an incoming call. Kate checked the ID and smiled. Seeing Admiral West's name, the gruff officer who had once viewed Lyra as a security risk had become one of their strongest allies. "Admiral." Kate greeted, accepting the call. "This is unexpected," West nodded on screen, his hair now completely gray. "Sergeant Bailey, good to see you. I hope I'm not interrupting." "Not at all, sir. Lyra is preparing for combat training with Rodriguez." The Admiral smiled briefly. "Still keeping up with that, is she good?" His expression grew more serious. "Bailey, I have news. The Vril situation has escalated." Kate stiffened. The Vril, the hostile species that had destroyed Proxima Station and killed Nevas, had maintained an uneasy distance from both human and Elonian territories for years. Occasional skirmishes occurred at the borders, but full-scale conflict had been avoided. "How bad is it?" Kate asked. "Bad enough," West replied. "They've attacked 3 research outposts in the past month. 2 human, 1 Elonian. Intelligence suggests they're specifically targeting joint scientific endeavors." Kate felt cold. A familiar sensation she hadn't experienced since her combat days. "Any information on why?" "Nothing concrete," West admitted, "but there are theories. The Vril seem particularly interested in genetic research, specifically interspecies compatibility studies." The implication was clear. Research similar to what had made Lyra possible. Kate glanced toward the stairs, ensuring Lyra wasn't within earshot. "Do they know about her?" "Not specifically, but rumors have. Spread a human Elonian hybrid child with exceptional abilities. Both our intelligence services and the Elonians believe knowledge of Lyra's existence has leaked to Vril intelligence networks. Kate took a deep breath, trying to steady her racing heart. What does this mean for us? For now, nothing changes, West assured her. Security around your home and Lyra's school has been increased, though you'll hardly notice it. The Elonian Council has also enhanced protection at the Academy for her next session. He paused. But Bailey, there is concern among both governments. The Vril have always been xenophobic. Their attacks seem designed to prevent cooperation between species. Lyra represents everything they oppose. She's a child. Not a symbol, Kate said, sharply echoing words she'd spoken to Elder Terrace years ago. To us, yes. West agreed. To them, she's proof that humans and Elonians can create something powerful together, something that challenges their belief in species purity. He sighed. The Joint Defense Committee is meeting next week. We want you there. Your experience both as a Marine and as Lyra's parent gives you unique perspective. And Lyra, she stays on Earth under protection. No Academy visits until this situation resolves. Kate nodded. She'll be disappointed, but she'll understand. She heard footsteps on the stairs. I need to go. Admiral Lyra is coming. We'll talk more secure channel tonight, West concluded before ending the call. Lyra bounded into the kitchen, now dressed in training. Clothes, her hair pulled back in a practical braid. Was that the Admiral? She asked, reaching for an apple from the fruit bowl. Just a work call, Kate replied, hating the deception, but unwilling to worry Lyra until she knew more. His organizing another joint exercise. Lyra accepted this explanation without question, used to Kate's military responsibilities. She bit into the apple, studying Kate with those perceptive purple eyes. You're worried about something? Kate sometimes forgot how intuitive Lyra was. Her Elonian telepathic abilities, though still developing, made her sensitive to emotional states, especially with those closest to her. Just work stress. Kate deflected. Nothing important. Lyra didn't push, though her expression suggested she wasn't entirely convinced. The doorbell rang, saving Kate from further questions. That's Aunt Mia, Lyra said, brightening. She hurried to the door, throwing it open to reveal Mia Rodriguez carrying a training bag. Ready to get your butt kicked, kid? Mia asked with a grin. You wish, Lyra retorted with playful confidence. I learned a new move from Liaison Valar last week. Save it for the training mat. Mia laughed. She nodded to Kate. Hey, Sarge. Looking serious, what's up? Fill you in later, Kate replied. With a meaningful glance toward Lyra, Mia caught on immediately. Right. Well, better get started. Our little warrior princess here has a science test tomorrow, doesn't she? Kate watched them head to the converted garage that served as a training space, her mind still processing the Admiral's warning. The Vril threat had always been a background concern, but never directed specifically toward them. Toward Lyra, the peaceful life they'd built suddenly felt fragile. Later that evening, after Lyra had gone to bed exhausted from training, Kate secured her communication system and contacted Admiral West. The information he shared confirmed her fears. The Vril were specifically targeting interspecies genetic research. Their attacks had become more precise, more directed. Their latest communication, intercepted by Elonian intelligence, spoke of abominations created through unnatural genetic contamination. We're increasing security across the board, West assured her. Both governments are taking this very seriously. But you're not just calling about general security measures, Kate guessed, reading the Admiral's expression. West hesitated. The Joint Committee has a proposal, one that concerns Lyra directly. Kate tensed. What kind of proposal? The Elonian Science Council believes Lyra may be key to understanding why the Vril are so threatened by interspecies cooperation. They want to conduct a comprehensive analysis of her genetic structure and her developing abilities. She's already been studied extensively, Kate pointed out, since infancy, not like this. West explained, this would involve new techniques, deeper analysis, some developed specifically in response to Vril technology. You're talking about using my daughter as a research subject? Kate said, her voice hardening. To what end? To understand what makes her special. West replied, Bailey, the abilities she's developing, They exceed projections from both human and Elonian scientists. Something about the combination of our species has created capabilities neither race possesses independently. If we understand how and why, you could create more like her. Kate finished. Is that it? Turn my daughter into a prototype? West had the grace to look uncomfortable. That is one perspective. Some in the military see strategic applications, yes. But the Elonian Council emphasizes understanding. The Vril fear what they don't comprehend. If we can explain the science, perhaps diplomacy becomes possible. And if I refuse? No. One is forcing this, Bailey. West assured her. But consider the bigger picture. The Vril are escalating. Their technology matches ours. Their numbers exceed ours. If full-scale war erupts, both Earth and Elonia will suffer devastating losses. Kate ended, the call promising to think about it. The weight of the Admiral's words followed her as she checked on Lyra, sleeping peacefully, her blue skin almost luminescent in the moonlight filtering through the window. The familiar protective surge Kate felt, looking at her daughter now mixed with a new fear. Not just for Lyra, but because of her, the implications of what she represented.